Good to see you, Hans.
Good to see you. Hope everything's fine
Hey, good day, everybody. Welcome back to our Chavruta sessions live from Jerusalem with Rabbi Chaim Goldberg of the Noahide World Center. He's put the class a half hour earlier than usual today, probably because he's got such a busy schedule. But it's always a joy to connect with the rabbi in Jerusalem, and it's a joy to be with him. And I want to welcome back our old friend Hans has joined us in the Zoom meeting. Always good to have people return. So on that note, let's just jump right in. Shalom, Rabbi. You're live and on the air. I'm going to turn the class over to you, sir.
good evening, everybody. Hope good to see you all. Everything is fine, and yes, we will start from now on. Okay, when we will have the meetings, it will be at 8 o'clock my time, a bit earlier because of other things that came inside in the next coming few months. So we're starting at 8 o'clock, not 8:30, and fine. We will manage, I think. Hopefully, we will all manage. It's Sunday. Sunday, it's a day. It's off. It's off day for all of you. We are working normal in 6 days. We're not taking off any day, but it's okay. It's okay. Everything is fine. Um, What so another point that I want to mention at the beginning up front is that next week we won't be able to have a meeting, unfortunately. We have something a very big event in the Noahide World Center. People are coming from overseas, by the way. We have a big event of and I will be very busy next week, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. It's going to be very hectic and very busy. So unfortunately, we won't have a meeting. I will try to write down a big um, article so you will have time to read something, especially for Ellen. But it's okay. For everybody, for everybody. I will do my best for taking outside. By the way, I have a very important thing next. I was thinking of speaking about next week, but it's okay. What is it that I want to speak tonight? Depends on a few things, but let's start with something. We have there is a in the Hebrew tradition. I think that we spoke about this a bit, but I will say a few words. I will say them by heart, and then we will. You know what? Maybe I will start from the Bible. Let's start from something inside. I want to. I want to strengthen something that I'm saying from time to time. The Bible was written after things were in oral way. Again, the Bible was written only after things were discussed between Moses and the Hebrew people. It started with God spoke something with Moses. Moses spoke with people, with the Hebrew people. And after that, it was also written down to remind us to strengthen this thing, whatever it is. It's not the opposite way around. And this is why we have 70 times, 70. God spoke to Moses that he will say to the Hebrew nation. וידבר השם אל משה לאמור. God spoke to Moses that he will speak with the Hebrew people. After God spoke with Moses, and after Moses spoke with the Hebrew people, it was also written down. I'll give an example. Let's say that Moses is coming and saying about sacrificing something, how to sacrifice whatever it is. What's written down is after Moses explained to them what to do. Let's see this for a moment inside the verses, please. Let me share the screen and then we can see it inside. If I may, just a moment, let me jump to the right place. I'm sorry, I wasn't prepared, but oh, here it is. Pray that everything will come straight ahead. we have here in chapter 12, Deuteronomy, we have that God is saying that if we read it last week, but read for a moment verse number, first of all, verse number 20.
20, and we're in Deuteronomy chapter 12. When the Lord your God expands your boundary as he has spoken to you, and you say, I will eat meat, because your soul desires to eat meat, you may eat meat according to every desire of your soul.
Fine. And now in 21, we have also, I will call it the commandments, how to do that. Now, read it carefully, and please tell me what are the two words that from there we understand that there is a commandment that Moses told to the Hebrew nation.
Okay, 21. If the place the Lord your God chooses to put his name there will be distant from you, you may slaughter of your cattle and of your sheep, which the Lord has given you, as I have commanded you, and you may eat it or eat in your cities according to every desire of your soul.
So it's written down here, as I have commanded you. By the way, in English it's 5 words, but in Hebrew it's 2. Kasher tziviticha, as I commanded you, only those 2 words. And there is a commandment that it's not written down inside. Okay, this is a commandment how to slaughter the animal. But Moses told the people, he didn't, because all sorts of reasons. I don't want even to go inside. I'm not 1% sure that I know all the answers for this specific thing, or always. But from his reasons, it's not being expressed fully inside the Bible, inside the Torah. What exactly the commandment of how to slaughter the animal? It's something that passed along history in the oral Bible, because everything he starts with this Moses got commandment from God and gave it to the Hebrew people, and there are things that was written down. Okay, it's very important to understand I will say the right context, because a lot of times people are saying to us that who are those sages that decided all sorts of things and all sorts of ideas? Who are those sages? How come we need to listen to them? The sages invented things. It's not true. It's a lie. The sages are preserving things that happened in the oral way, and they are expressing them in a specific way how to express them. Unfortunately, we have also, because it was in an oral way, and we lost the main, I will say, Supreme Court of the Hebrew nation that was in, I will call it in the Temple Mount. And because of that, because of this Supreme Court, we didn't have any contradictions, any fights, any debates about how to behave in this way and that way, because everything was closed there. After people said, but I think this way, I think this or that way, they decided. And for 1200 years, we didn't have any debates inside the Hebrew nation. Only after 1200 years, the first debate started, or the first argument started. And today we have a lot of, I will say, strings how to behave in the Torah. And all of them are inside. I'm not speaking about those who are taking or saying to themselves, we don't want to listen to the Torah. And when we understand this principle, we can jump a bit further in Deuteronomy to chapter, just a moment, 15, I think it is, just a moment. Let's see that I didn't jump too much. No, I jumped less than what I was supposed to jump. Okay, chapter 16. Okay. You can see, first of all, read verse number 18.
Chapter
Please.
16 of Deuteronomy, verse 18. You shall set up judges and law enforcement officials for yourself in all your cities that the Lord your God is giving you for your tribes, and they shall judge the people with righteous judgment.
So we have here the judgment, and we have here the policeman. Okay, those two things. In the continuance of those chapters, there are also other two things. One of them is the king. We can call this today, it's the parliament, whatever it is, those who are in charge politically, and the people, we are giving them the nomination to be in charge of the people. Also the king in Israel was getting his nomination from the Hebrew people. And there's also in the Hebrew tradition, there's also what we call the prophets. Okay, those who have the relation with God. And each prophet, when you go to the books of the prophets, you will see that each prophet, it says that he was prophesying in the era of this and this king. Again, listen good to what I'm saying. There was a king, he was in charge, he was I will say the highest authority, and there was a prophet next to him that spoke the words of God to the prophets. Sometimes the king listened to the prophet, and there were times that the king didn't listen to the prophets, okay? And he paid for that. There was a payment for not listening to the prophets. So we have those things, but now we're starting, let me show you for a moment something very important. If I'm continuing on, okay, I'm going to chapter 17, and in chapter 17, there is a, let's say, oh, it is. Let's read verse, we need to read from 8 till 13. Okay, please. Let's go step by step. Read it all. We'll understand what's
Deuteronomy
happening.
17, verse 8. If a matter eludes you in judgment between blood and blood, between judgment and judgment, or between legion and legion, words of dispute in your cities, then you shall rise and go up to the place the Lord your God chooses, and you shall come to the Levitic Kohanim and to the judge who will be in those days, and you shall inquire, and they will tell you the words of judgment. And you shall do according to the word they tell you from the place the Lord will choose, and you shall observe to do according to all they instruct you. According to the law they instruct you, and according to the judgment they say to you, you shall do. You shall not divert from the word they tell you, either right or left. And the man who acts intentionally, not obeying the Kohen who stands there to serve the Lord your God, or the judge, that the man shall die, and you shall abolish evil from Israel, and all the people shall listen and fear, and they shall no longer act wantonly.
Wow. What we have here, basically, this is where I'm saying all the time, there is a structure. How come we didn't have any arguments? We had arguments, but we closed them. We had the way how to close those arguments. Now, I want to say here, I'm going to say it in all, but if you want, you can look at this after that. And not in the Maimonides, in the Ramban, because it says here, you shall not divert from the words they tell you, either right or left. So when I'm reading this, I understand that if they told me to do something, I won't go to the right of those things, and I won't go to the left of those things. Okay, I will do exactly what they told me to do. But I was just saying something a bit else, and they're saying something a bit, I will say, weird in the beginning. Okay, let's show Rashi for a moment. They're saying that it might be that when they say to you something, okay, if you have some sort of a question, okay, a debate, according to judgment, according to anything else, so you need to go to the place, to the Temple Mount, okay, to the seat of the Sanhedrin, and to speak with them. I have two points that I want to mention, okay? One of them is what I'm going to say now, the point number one, and then we will say another point, very important thing. According to the things that they're going to share with you, according to the judgment that they say to you, you should do. And now read Rashi for a moment, okay? Are they right or left?
Either right or left. Even if this judge tells you that the right is left and that the left is right, how much more so if he tells you that right is right and left is left?
Now, it's a bit weird. When they're saying to me that right is left and left is right, why do I need to listen to them? Now, we're not speaking about the right and left in our hands, okay? The right is right, the left is left. No one is saying that the right is left and the left is right. No one is saying something like that, even though, if you will think for a moment, when I'm standing in front of you, so my right is your left and my left is your right, right? So it's all a question of, I will say, where you're standing. What is the point of view that we have? So things are starting to get a bit, I will say, more complicated. But no one is speaking about saying that the sages are saying that right is left and left is right. What says here, what the Rashi is saying here, what our sages are saying here, if you have a question, if you have a debate, and two sages who are saying, but I understand this way, and the other one is saying, but I understand the other way, and they're going to the place where the judgment is supposed to decide, what we call the Sanhedrin, according to what way we're going to behave. Listen good to what I'm saying. There might be few ways how different point of view, what we said just a moment ago, okay? For me, it's the right, but for you, it's the left, okay? When you're standing one in front of each other. So it might be that we can look on this situation in a few various of ways. And what I see as a right, you see as a left, and the opposite way, on the vice versa. But at the end, the Sanhedrin is supposed to decide how to behave. And then even if you think that what they're saying is just the opposite way of behaving, you need to obey to them. And the Ramban is saying something really amazing and shocking. He's saying, why is this? Why do we need to listen to them? Because most probably God, who is presenting himself, who is present in this place, in the house of God, where the Sanhedrin is sitting down, won't lead them to a mistake. He is with them. Okay. Again, there is some sort, first of all, we're speaking about 120 people. All of them were very smart. All of them were very elderly. All of them knew a lot of languages. All the 70 languages, all the languages of the world were also inside this group. And they knew the Torah from beginning to the end. And they were all with a bit of a spirit, what we call a prophecy of God. And if those 120 people decided, according to the majority of those kids, of those people, some of them saw this way, some of them saw the other way, but they decided one way, we all need to line up and to be in this way, because God won't lead those people or this structure of the Sanhedrin, he won't leave them. He is always with them. And now we're starting to understand the power of the oral Bible. It starts from the oral discussions, debates, arguments, whatever it is. And one is bringing this proof, and the other one is bringing the other proof, and one is saying, but what I've heard from my rabbi is this. The other one is saying, but what I've heard from the rabbi is something else. And they're discussing and discussing and discussing. And then they're coming to a conclusion together, and they're deciding something, how to behave. It might be that the truth is that there are a few ways how to look at this situation. It's a complicated situation. Okay? When you're holding a coin on your hand, you can't see both sides in the same time. You need to see one side or to flip the coin to the other side. How many times we say Tree of Holly? Remember that? This game that we played when we were young? because you say, or this, or that. So when you're looking at this, I will say, on this situation, it might be that you can see it in few ways. But at the end, you need to decide how to behave. And this is where they're deciding. And the decision is starting from the oral discussion. And through this oral discussion that God is speaking with them, and they are speaking between them, there's coming outside the halachic way how to behave. Now we lost it. We lost it already for almost 24 centuries. And we have today, I will say, few ways how to guide people. This is where, Dan, I'm raising up for something on my head that I don't know if you thought, but I think that's important that we will do.
Yeah, no,
Let's
this
organize,
completely...
just a moment. Let's organize a meeting between Rabbi Shulman and me about the main things that we have an argument about.
Okay.
I think that Rabbi Shulman, and it's okay, we sat down more than once together. What's his name? Rabbi Yuda Cohen. He will be also with us, and he will, be the person that is asking the questions and discussing things or raising up the issues. People need to know that it's not that Rabbi Shulman saying, that's it, God spoke, and also not Rabbi Chaim is speaking, it's not God spoke. But they need to know that today we have a few ways how to look on things, a few things, and it's okay, and they're still inside the boundaries. And we're not speaking, no one of us is a reform, no one of us is trying to do hard things. There are people who are relating to, I will say, his guidance, it's okay. There are people who are relating with my guidance, it's not mine. So Rabbi Shirki, all this organizational guidance, it's okay. It's a time that we will sit down, one with each other, discuss it, show the point of views that we have one with each other, the things that we think that according to the halachic way, we prefer that it will be in this way, or he prefer that it will be in the other way. It's okay. It's okay. People need to see how rabbis are dealing with those contradictions today. It's a lesson. It's a lesson that's supposed to be shown, and we need to do it in a way. If you ask me, let's try to do this in the 10 days between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. People need to learn how we respect one each other and how the oral Bible today is working, functioning. People can decide that they're going according to what Rabbi Shulman is saying, according to what the Noahide World Center is saying, but they will see how we are honoring one each other, how we're discussing things in a manner. There are things that it will be surprise everybody that we agree on the practical side, but we disagree on the principle side. But everything, people need to see how it's working, so they will understand how the oral Bible is working, functioning today.
Yeah, I think, the lesson you're sharing, Rabbi, it really clarifies the difference or the problems that are created with objective and subjective reality. Yeah, we have so many problems today because of subjective viewpoints. Just in living every day, arguments happen because people see things the way they see things, and there's no genuine arbiter that says this is the left and this is the right, walk this way, and it creates division, and we don't want any of that. So I'll try. I'll be doing more series with him next weekend, and I will try and coordinate something with you and him.
I'm inviting him, and we will sit down. If he wants, also we can put between us. We will organize exactly the issues that we're going to discuss. I want to raise up all the issues that we don't see in the practical side, eye to eye. And let's discuss them. Let's speak about them. People will see we honoring one each other. How it's everything. It's not not him and not us. We're not bringing the Torah of God. Sorry.
Often, Rabbi, what I end up seeing is he's very clear when he talks about it, but I find that the people seeking are always looking for somebody to agree with them in their mind, and they take the one little piece of a sentence and they justify, well, he said it, so I'm correct, and they run with it without hearing the whole of the matter, and he inevitably brings it around. So I don't have any difficulty with the way he says things and when he sums it up.
I also, but I understand that there is people in the United States supposed to grow up one stage. Sorry if I'm saying this.
Of course.
It's differently. It's different in South America. It's different. We don't have those problems or those issues in South America because we don't have so many rabbis who are dealing with those people.
Here in North America, subjectivity is running rampant, and it's causing a lot of societal divisions, and everybody wants what they want, and this sense of entitlement that's out there and prevalent in Western society today it's terrible. It's I see it all the time. Okay.
Fair enough. There's another one point because my time tonight is short a bit. Another 10-15 minutes maximum. I need to go. I mean, listen, 10 minutes.
I want to welcome Batya with us.
Who?
We got Batya with us from Germany. Joined us today as
Hello.
well. So
Hello.
glad to have you with us,
so
Batya.
Patrick, about.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Hi.
So I want to share another one very important point from those words. Okay, and. It's a bit funny. Please read verse number 9 again.
Okay, verse 9. And you shall come to the Levitic Kohanim and to the judge who will be in those days, and you shall inquire, and they will tell you the words of judgment.
Now, please read from. I have a question. Is it possible to go to the judge that is not living today, that was 20 years ago?
Or 200 years ago.
I don't understand. And believe me, the wordings of the Torah are so exact. Nothing is for spare, It's not. They're not writing things because as a journalist, God is getting more, payment for more words. Every word is very important. We saw a moment ago. We saw that Moses is not opening more than 2 words about how to slaughter the animal, and it's only being told in the oral Bible. Why the Torah is saying to us that we need to go to the judgment that is living, who will be in those days? I have no one else to go. I'm not going to the grave to speak with someone, right?
Right.
Read
right,
Rashi
yeah.
for a moment. It's
in
a bit
the days
weird.
of the dispute. Yeah, and you shall come to the Levitic Kohanim, the Kohanim who are descended from the tribe of Levi, and to the judge who will be in those days, although this judge may not be of the same stature as other judges who preceded him, you must listen to him, for you have only the judge who lives in your time. Very important.
Okay. So what Rashi is saying to us, basically, is that, there are people like Samuel. Oh, he was giant. According to our tradition, Samuel himself is compared to Moses and Aaron together. Wow. I want to be in Samuel's time. I will tell you that where I live is very close to Samuel area, town, I will call it like that, okay? And we preserve it from here, from my home. Who doesn't want to live in the Samuel time? But there is also the time of Yiftach, of Simpson, okay, Shimshon, Simpson. So there are judges who are very in a high rank, and there are those who are with the law. So the Torah is saying to us, go to the judge in your times, in your area, in your era. Don't trust your judge in your era, because this is the judge that God nominated him. If I will compare it to today, okay, trust Benjamin Netanyahu. He is now the prime minister. Maybe another few years he won't be, but then go to the trusted prime minister that you have then. God is giving, nomination to someone, and that's it, go with him. But this is, I would call it only one way to look at this. I want to share with you that there's another way to look at this. And the other way is the Hebrew nation to the other nations, from time to time going to an exile and coming back. Now, the truth is that That's it. We're not going to an exile again. Okay, I won't go into this now, but believe me, there is, I will say, a story. Okay, before the state of Israel was born, in the middle of the Holocaust, it was 41, 42, something like that. The chief rabbi of Israel, not Rabbi Avraham Isaac Cook, he already passed away, Rabbi Herzog. Rabbi Herzog is the grandfather of our president of today. He flew out to the United States and spoke with Roosevelt and begged him, asked him to assist the Jews who flee from Europe. Some of them got stuck in Cuba. Some of them got stuck, like my parents, by the way, my mother, my grandparents. Some of them got stuck in other places. And he went there and he asked two things, basically, that Roosevelt will accept the Jews that flee from Europe, and also that Roosevelt and the American army will bomb the railways and whatever it is. And it came to a situation in those days that he was there, that Rommel, the German admiral, came to Egypt and wanted also to conquer the land of Israel. So Rabbi Isaac Herzog, okay, he demanded to go back to Israel, and on the stairs of the airplane, the president of the United States, Roosevelt, said to him, "Why are you going there? If Rommel, the German admiral, is going to conquer the Hebrew land, he's going to kill all the Jews. You're going to be dead there." So Rabbi Herzog said to him back, "We have a tradition in the Hebrew tradition that we went twice to an exile, not anymore. Rommel won't be able to do that, and we're going to build up the state. That's it." Now, his statement that he said, we have resources for that, almost 50 resources for that, along from the Bible till today, okay? And this is one of the things that we feel strong. We know, that's it. We're not going anymore to an exile. But if I'm going back to this verse, specific verse, it might be that we came back from the exile and there are rabbis who are still living in the mode of an exile. They are living in all sorts of places, also in Israel, but of course, not only in Israel, also outside of Israel. And they still think like we're in an exile. That the Hebrew nation is still in exile. And they don't understand the era where they are. And now we're starting to see this verse in a different way. Go to the judge who understands where we are standing now. Don't go to the judge. Don't go to the rabbis who are still living in the mindset of the exile. We are already not in the exile. We have a country. We have an army. We have a place. We need to fight for a place. It's a mitzvah. It's a commandment. There are rabbis who are speaking like they're still in the exile. Go to the judges. I got a question from a very important Noahide. Okay, very important. Soon we're going to have to publish things that he said. And he asked me, "How do you decide who are the rabbis to listen today and not?" I said to him, "It's a great question. Go to the rabbis who understand that we are not in the exile. Don't follow the rabbi who think that we're still in exile. We're not there. The Hebrew nation is strong. Almost most of the people of the Hebrew nation all over the world, most of them are sitting in the Hebrew land. Who are the rabbis who understand that we're in a different era?" It's the same thing, by the way, when they went out to the exile. There were still rabbis who spoke and preached and explained and said all sorts of ideas, but still on the realm, under the thinking that we are still in Israel, holding ourselves. This is part of the confusion of the Babylon Talmud. The Babylon Talmud is trying to adjust our life in the exile. But we are going out now. We went out from the exile 75 years ago, 76 years ago, 78 years ago. We went out from the exile. Who are the judges that you're listening to? Who are the judges that are lining you up, who are showing you the purpose of the Hebrew state? Go with them. I'm not saying not to listen to others. Others are saying a lot of good stuff from the Bible, ideas from the Judaism, very nice. But it's missing, it's lacking. I will say, you know what it's lacking? Let me say this in a few minutes, just a moment. Let me say this in a few words, okay? Just a moment. Something is happening here. In a moment, I'm coming back, okay? Just a moment. I'm sorry. Just a moment.
Wow, what a big point. Yeah, this is indicative when people think their own wisdom takes precedence, and this is where subjectivity becomes an issue. And the system that is portrayed in the Torah here, the way the rabbi is explaining it to us, I think clarifies objectivity over subjectivity, because I find subjective people tend to make things endlessly arguable, to make them moot. And I've seen obstinate people that no matter what you say, they can argue. Well, that just means they're argumentative, not that they're right, but in their own mind, they think they're wise because they can keep an argument going. And that's the whole dilemma of narcissism. We've seen a lot of it come out of the woke left, which causes divisiveness for their own control. I mean, if people are divided, they're easier to control. And so to have clarity and true objectivity, we need to, say something is objective. And like I said last week when Rabbi showed a picture of Jordan Peterson, the human mind doesn't see objects. People see things as either usable, obstructions, or a pathway, and that's how they function. So if they see things as usable, they reach out for it. And we live here in the West where, subjectivity, they want something, they see it as usable, and they reach for it, and they overstep. And this is where this type of entitled action comes from. But they go down that habitually. They become narcissistic and entitled and push problem. We saw a lot of it. I don't know about you, around when COVID first hit. I remember walking into the grocery store with my wife, and some lady looked at us like we had the plague and we weren't allowed in. She tried to literally block us from going in the grocery store because we didn't have the mask on that she thought we should be wearing, the right type of mask. The point is, her subjective world, the way she saw it, her version of wisdom, became argumentative. And so understanding the way people function and how we can impact that is behooving on us somewhat if we want to be conduits of light. And Rabbi Hirschler, I see you've joined us. Rabbi Goldberg had to step away for a second. So good to have you with us.
Just a moment. I need to go. I'm sorry. Everything is fine. Thank God. Again, next week I won't be able to give a lesson. So maybe Rabbi Hirschler will be able. Good to see you, Rabbi Hirschler. To hear that you're here. But I will say the main point here is to understand, to realize. Just a moment. The main point is to realize that again, I'm saying, the rabbis who are not, I will say, not living in the era, okay?
Yep, their frame of mind, sure.
They're good rabbis, and they can give a lot of the ideas of the Torah, okay? It's okay. But on the other side, we need to understand, we are today in a different place. We are today in a situation where the nation is starting to do different, I will say, missions.
Challenges,
not only challenges, also the mission of the Hebrew nation. Okay, when we went out to the exile in the Babylon exile till today, and this is why we built up the Babylon Talmud, we were supposed to fix or to reorganize what exactly we're going to, how exactly we're going to pass those 2,000 years. Now that we came back, it's a different things. We need to relate. We also need to relate not only to the wars that are coming here in this world. We need to relate. There's a big question about, is there are a lot of big questions in the world, and we need to discuss them. Also, we need to give the point of view of the Torah. There's a say about this. So the issue is very simple. Go to the judge that understands in what era we live in. And this is a judge that will guide you. So those are the 2 points that I said from this thing. I'm really sorry that I need to go. You all know my email, so if there's a questions or something, so don't hesitate to send me. I'm giving the...
Very important lesson today, Rabbi. Thank you so much, Rabbi Chaim.
Yes.
If you stop the share screen, that way we can...
Yes, I'm stopping. I'm going out. But you have the control, so it's okay. I'm not closing the thing. Bye, everybody. Have a great weekend.
Blessings to you, Rabbi. Yeah, we'll talk soon, okay?
Bye. Hi, James.
Bye for now. Well, Rabbi's got to step out. Does anybody in the group have any comments? Or Rabbi Hirschler, is there anything you'd like to share with us? Rabbi Hirschler's got his microphone off. It's good to see Hans. Go ahead, Ange.
I can just say that the word comes out of Jerusalem.
Yes, it's great to have people you can ask.
Yes, and I like the point in the lesson that when you do such and you go to the source that the Torah says and they tell you that this is right and this is left, this is the way you should go, people need to go in the way that they're directed and not question it and do the task that is on the matter. So when you're dealing with especially deeply personal issues, so many people, they let their emotions get the better of them, and they get tunnel vision and they harden in on their specific point, and they want to push their will, and that causes conflict. And if you don't have the voice of the Torah shining light on a situation, how do we know what objectivity is? Everybody seems to be doing whatever's right in their own eyes, and society can get a little messy like spaghetti all tangled. And yeah. Sorry, Rabbi Hirschler, did you want to add anything?
Yeah, I think I will if I'm unmuted.
You're unmuted now? Yeah, we can hear and see you all right. Your camera's a little low.
One of the fundamental elements of the authority of the scholars is based on their close relationship with God. At the end of the day, the legal system, which I saw that the rabbi touched on, fundamentally stems from the fact that we had 3 different elements of how to give us the clarity of the legal system of the Torah. It's either through the prophets or through the priests when there was a temple, and the scholars ever since. The truth is, the scholarly side was always fundamentally important, because that is something which is totally rational and can be well explained within the framework.
Where the wrinkles get ironed out, yeah.
Absolutely. You see, the problem sometimes is when you're coming for the perspective of prophecy in Deuteronomy in chapters 12 and 13, the Torah deals with the potential of false prophets as well. There are people who come up naturally with what you call optimistic ideas which are baseless. That's part of the problem, that there are people who try even today in the
overreach
social media to bring through false and fake news. These things are very counterproductive. And in that sense, to hear authentic things which are based on logic and are ingrained in the mechanism of how the Torah operates, these are the most authentic and most successful ways of bringing forward the wisdom of the Torah the way it is meant to go through. And these things are still very much updated in 2025, just like they were 500 years ago. And it's important to realize that the authenticity and authority of the scholarly basis is as it's written directly at the revelation. I don't know if the rabbi touched on the issue, but in the oral law tradition, there's a term which is called, this is the halacha, or the way of life from Moses and Sinai. Namely, that the oral law interpretation and tradition is as if that is directly as it was delivered at the time. Listen, I do have a little bit of knowledge of comparative religion, both in the Christian and Muslim scenario. The Muslims, they have what they call the hadith. But the truth is, the oral law in Muslim is fundamentally very different than what is found in the Quran, and it's independent essentially from the original text. The wisdom in the Jewish oral law is that it's ingrained well. In fact, yours truly, one of the things I do in my research is to try to show how the Jewish legal system is ingrained in the literary of the Bible. I mean, it's not an easy thing to do because we have the tradition. What I try to show is how it fits in beautifully into the text and is a very valid interpretation of what is there. And that is very fundamental. And when I teach Bible or teach Jewish law, I try to ingrain both simultaneously. And I admit there's one difficulty that you may have with this, not your fault at all. The problem would be is that you need a very good Hebrew literary for it, because the Hebrew text of how it is written and the marvels of the Hebrew language in this respect, and I'm talking as an English-born American person, this is something I developed, and I did my master's included a Hebrew language course as well, to try to upgrade that interaction between the two. In other words, I was given the tools when I was in the university, but the mechanism, how to operate it, that is part of what I do till this very day. And therefore, when I saw that he spoke about this subject matter, I found I'm very welcome to answer questions of you, plural, on this matter. It's pretty close to part of my expertise, as it were.
Wow. Well, thank you, Rabbi Hirschler. That's beautiful.
It is extremely important because it gives a lot to the weight of the authenticity of the Torah. When you can prove it in clear terms, it adds a lot because it looks so beautiful and meaningful the way it comes forward, as it were.
Yeah.
So I open the floor to you if you'd like in relation to this matter.
Yeah, I find so many questions, no matter how much I study, I get on a train or vein of thought, and I try to, probe a vein, but not understanding it from the Hebrew context or of the letters themselves. I seem to be missing an important tool out of the toolbox that's needed to get to the bottom of a matter, and so I have to accept that where I'm at and rely even more so on my rabbi and formulate the questions. Sometimes one of the first things that Rabbi Goldberg taught me is that not all questions are equal, and it doesn't mean that a person's opinion doesn't matter. It just means the way you form the question and the weight of what you're probing, they're not all the same. And some people, yes, Bart, you got something you want to add?
Maybe I've missed, but I was thinking, how do I have discernment to see what Rabbi is right, what Rabbi is living in the time where we are?
That's a very good question. Rabbi Hirschler, anything you can weigh in on that question?
I'm not sure I understood the emphasis exactly what Bart is trying to highlight.
He's trying to how can we know how can we have discernment? I mean, when we're seeking, like what would you, especially somebody who's come out of English speaking America, what sort of things can we implement to develop discernment when it comes to wrestling between, say, we're reading sages from 500 years ago. I think Rabbi Goldberg touched on that one point today exclusively, that if you're dealing with a sage or the writing of a great rabbi, say the Ramchal, wonderful rabbi for sure, but he's also writing in an era of the exile, and so a rabbi of today may have a different nuance, though not maybe at the Ramchal's level. He may have a nuance of living in a liberated Israel and have a completely more modern take on the matter. I mean, let's face it. I think myself, I have a tendency to look for patterns, Bart. And you see similarities, but then you also have to study the history to understand, similarities or dissimilarities, and it's so tough to make,
I'll give you an example, Bart. I hope Hamdan, I hope you'll take it in one way. The Torah mentions 6 times objection to taking interest on people that give loans. And yet when the Torah touches the matter, it indicates that giving a loan to a poor person, not a grant, a loan, is the second highest level of charity that exists and is considered much better than giving a grant. Because when you give a person for nothing, charity, you are implying that he doesn't have a chance of rehabilitating himself virtually, and you're not unhappy, so to speak, that he's in this deprived area. But when you give a person a loan, even if it's a person who's poor, you're doing a high level of a commandment because you are retaining his dignity, and you're suggesting that when he will upgrade his situation, he eventually will pay you back. With true honesty, you probably give it to him without taking into account any guarantee or expectancy that it will come back, but you give him the benefit of the doubt, and you give him mainly the pride and dignity. He's only helping me now because I need to get into another job and steadying myself back on feet. It makes such a different attitude. And the highest level of them all, there's 8 levels, that's level number 2 from the top. The highest level, which I extremely are in favor, is giving a person a job of work and paying him for that. Even if it's not a huge sum, there's nothing that upgrades the dignity of a person that he's being paid because he's doing work. And he feels that he's not taking advantage of other people. It gives him such a sense that he's doing something, even if it's not necessarily high class. For example, in America, it's a bit of a problem because some people are treated to, and their image is dependent on their salary, as if that's the only factor about makes a person worth it or not worth it. Just because a certain person doesn't make high salary doesn't mean he's not a decent or intelligent person. It could be for 150 reasons why it's different, but to retain the person's dignity in that respect. Now, when you read the stories of the Torah related to this subject matter, there's 3 issues that are mentioned. Number one, that fundamentally the reason of forbidding interest was from a poor person. But for example, if you are working on a housing project in Washington, D.C. or in Belgium, and you need to build 100, 200 apartments, giving loans there, you're allowed to take interest because what you're doing is you're creating a partnership. There's no way that a normal person can have a housing project that's worth 50 million euro or dollars and has the money to pay up front. So some other person or a bank or an individual investor is assisting him in his project. And that's not a matter of charity. It's a matter of business. And part of developing any housing project today of substance includes interest as part of the balance of the whole system. Like any bank were to operate on that basis, that he's using your money and he's giving you a fraction of what he's earning because he has it in his hands. The Torah never forbade that, but you have to read well the text and understand that the expression used in the Bible related to interest is like biting into the person. Namely, a person who in any case is deprived financially, if you're charging him more to repay what he owes you because you're waiting for him to repay you, you're biting into what he already has, or you're multiplying your gain at his expense. The words in Hebrew are neshech and ribit. And if one understands the Hebrew context of the Maimonides, by the way, it goes into it, it makes it so much more colorful in understanding the decency behind these rules. Quite frankly, they are a reflection of our goals of creating a charitable society that everybody has an opportunity to retain their dignity and yet to live on a standard that at least would reflect their basic needs. In that sense, I find that just gave you one example, which is very essential in the legal system and relates to it.
Well, that's very relevant today, as we see in the United States. President Trump is putting limitations on food stamps and Section 8 housing, basically limiting, say, 2 years they're allowed to be on it, and people's food stamps have been cut, but they've been given a mandate, to at least do volunteer work for a minimum of, I think he said, 15 hours a week, which is very minor. But he's given a window rather than, as you say, take a bite out of them. But there's a lot of complaints online about it. But then again, too, on the other side, we've seen a lot of people that are just drains on the system since Trump's come to office. Like I heard it's in the numbers are like 14 million people were taken off of Social Security, but these were fraudulent cases. Apparently people have been claiming Social Security for deceased relatives for decades. James, I see you got your hand up. Do you got a question for Rabbi Hirschler or a comment you want to add?
Yes, hopefully someone can answer it for me. Let's imagine that I'm a 6-year-old intellectually at my age. And
okay, I'll try.
Okay, try to do that. And I understand
it's just a matter of your humility. Don't take it other than that. Okay.
And imagine, okay, that I'm conversing with several rabbis, and I do. I think maybe the question that was out there is how can I know the difference in the era at which that rabbi is operating? How would I know that? Because I'm ignorant to begin with. I don't know the difference. How would I do that? Now, professionally, if you have an experiment and you tell me that there's a significant advantage for you to buy this drug, and you've proven it statistically, I'm going to question that, because I'm going to be putting some money out for that drug to help me maybe not die from cancer. So I will do a research profile all the way back if I can. I'll just run it into the ground. But still, there's always a question. So I'd have to run that experiment myself and do it over and over and over again until I get a statistical advantage or a significant difference than the researcher that created that paradigm. I don't know if you understand that or not. I hope I haven't talked way out of the box, but all right, I'm a 6-year-old. I don't know the difference between you or Rabbi Chaim or Rabbi Wolbe or the internet rabbis. I don't know the difference. What do I do?
Fundamentally, there are means to follow up some of these things if you want, of course, know the historical background and the time context and the internet. There's plenty of information. And I think also there is a level. I mean, if you were to go to a doctor, and today there's plenty of ways to even get to certain data that you may have before you get to the clinic, and he'll realize that you're quite into the system. I think it's actually healthy. The last thing I would, in any case, would feel intellectually stimulating would be to take advantage of somebody like you described, not you, but I'm saying person who would have a 6-year-old intelligence related to subject matters that I've been doing for the last 30 years. I'd actually would encourage the potential criticism analysis, try to get to an answer that would reflect a more in-depth study of the issue itself. There's a beautiful Talmudic expression that I learned a lot from my rabbis, but I learned from my students more than from anybody. Because when you are challenged and you are asked questions like you're saying, James, with a critical analysis, it upgrades my own study. It requires of me to learn the things into a greater extent. One of the lectures I gave this morning, later on when I was reviewing for tomorrow's session, I realized there was something I barely explained today. And then out of the hour that I have tomorrow, the first 7 minutes, I'm going to do, God willing, a whole revision of the issue to make sure that they get the issue properly. I felt, so to speak, that I sold them short. Not that they found anything wrong with what I said, but I realized that I should have taken it further. And sometimes when you get a question from somebody else and it stimulates you intellectually, there's nothing better than that. That's why I said earlier, it's much more reliable, the scholarly type of study, than prophecy. Because the borderline between prophecy and fortune telling and luck and horoscope, which are absolute rubbish, is not always something that's easy to determine. But in critical wisdom that is based on information, you have all the way to check it up if you'd like to. It really is optional.
Well, yeah, I think if it's not, it's controllable, and that's where mass manipulation can come into play if it's not done properly, and so very important. I hope that makes some sense, James. But
Can I just mention something? I just want to say, when I started looking for a rabbi, the word actually tells me that it comes out of Jerusalem. The word comes out of Jerusalem. So why would I not look for a rabbi in Jerusalem somewhere?
Yep.
If that is what you know is truth, why would you go to Canada, elsewhere. US, elsewhere? It's something that's in front of you that you can read and then go for it. And then you can check them all out there. It's an easy thing, actually. It's actually easy. But yeah, anyways, that's all I want to say. Thanks.
Thanks. Yeah, I really started pushing that when I first became a Noahide, that it had to come out of Jerusalem based on Isaiah's statement. And I'm so thankful I was able to connect with Rabbi Goldberg. And for me, it's been life-altering and put me on that. I find you connect with a rabbi that works at Hashem's directed you to, and your trajectory goes in a different consistent direction for sure. And rather than aimlessly trying to cherry pick what's right or what's wise and on your own, and this is, I think, in Rabbi's lesson today, it really helped me understand that the Torah does have an answer to the objective subjective dilemma. And society tends to get all deranged and divided when subjectivity's afloat, and I mean, realistically, people's feelings are real, but not always valid. And how do we know? And I think when the Torah says this is the way to walk in it, left or right, and you follow based on a rabbi's ruling today, it makes a huge difference. So Rabbi,
I can add to
I
that
think
one little point, if you don't mind, and I'll cut it if you need to go. Tomorrow, as you know, is September 1st. That's 86 years after World War II broke out. In August 1939, the world Jewish population was 18 million, 11 million of them in Europe. After 6 million were wiped out and the dispersion went all over the world, it changed a lot. And that verse from Isaiah about the message of God coming from Jerusalem, initially, I must admit again from my literary expertise, originated as a message because the temple was in the central part of Jerusalem. However, today, over and beyond that, 45% of the overall world Jewry is in Israel itself. So the responsibility, Rabbi Goldberg, yours truly and others have today, is probably even more than in the time when the temple was around, due to the very high percentage of Jewish population and a Jewish government basically running the state of Israel. So the amount of responsibility in getting to a correct analysis of the Jewish approach is much more critical than it ever was in the last millennia, at least in this country.
For sure. And may Israel be reestablished fully, and we see the full-fledged Commonwealth rise to its true strength, and we once again have the light of Torah shining out of Jerusalem, and the temple be restored, and that way true objectivity is here on earth, and we can know which way is the right and which is the left, and do away with all this. I still doing security. I have to deal with some psychiatric patients, and sometimes you just want to slap the psychiatry right out of them. But the reality is, got to be strong, but kind, and you have to be patient with some things, but some things you got to say no further. Shall not pass. And so my prayers are with the nation of Israel to continually grow in this direction. But I think Rabbi Goldberg's lesson today about living in that time post-exile for the rabbis can only strengthen the direction that Hashem has placed Israel on. And I'm sure the rabbis abroad will make Aliyah someday as Hashem shines light wherever they are on the planet. And it's so important so that the true light continues to shine in this world as Hashem intends it. And so for like I noticed Bart came at our usual time. Bart, at the beginning of the class today, Rabbi Goldberg says for the next couple of months we'll be doing it a half an hour earlier, just for your record, but we are not on for next week because Rabbi Goldberg's got some things to do, but that's okay. We move with the rabbi, and I'm thankful for the lessons for me. They just actually fill in spots in my mind that need to be touched on by Hashem. And I'm just so glad to have classes out of Jerusalem from a learned rabbi, and Rabbi Herschel. Always a joy to have you pop in our class and add to the texture and flavor of the conversation. It means so much as well. I'm glad we had our friend Hans back from Paraguay. I haven't seen him here in a while, but good to have you with us again, Hans, and Bart and Batya over in Germany. Glad to have you with us as well. And James, Martina, Vincent, Ange, of course. So on that note, I think I will wind it down for today, but we will let you know soon when our next class with Rabbi Goldberg. It's not going to be next week, and we do have the high holidays coming up soon, so I think we'll have one more class possibly before then. Looking forward to I'll be doing 3 sessions next week with Rabbi Schulman. So I'm glad to hear Rabbi Goldberg say you want to have a get together and iron some things out so that people realize their subjective opinion of he said this and he says that they're not at odds. I think harmony has to ring true. So yeah. So until next time, I'll sign out for today. Until then, have a wonderful, wonderful week, everybody. Bye for now.
Bye.
See you all in 2 weeks' time. Bye-bye.
Bye.